Ladies and gentlemen, it's common knowledge throughout the Paradox community that those who play EU4 are doomed to a life of loneliness and misery. The grand strategist fails to get the girl. Yet, despite such seriousness, not a soul has defended these extreme claims. As the Archduke of endless splendor and grace, such difficulties lie upon me. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, today we will be diving into why EU4 players are all single, using the power of economics. Let's start simple. This is a graph of supply and demand. In any market, the supply and demand curves will determine the price at which a good is sold. The dating market is no different. The demand of females in the dating pool is met with the supply of dateable men. Now, supply and demand curves meet each other at an equilibrium, creating the best possible outcome for both the buyers and the sellers. In a dating market, that's rather difficult. Changing population can't exactly be done ethically. When demand exceeds supply, or vice versa, a market failure occurs. The fact that so many men I know are single and looking for someone points to a market failure where supply exceeds demand, leading to many single men. Because of this, the men that are the most attractive are picked over the less attractive men. And this area becomes the men left behind, the EU4 players. Of course, we can't just make bold assumptions and assault a group of people without backing it up. By searching up what makes women date men, you get reasons like looks and humor. You don't get reasons like EU4. Now, you could argue that doing both is a possibility, but that's where part 2 of our economic proof comes into play. The production possibility curve can show us why EU4 players are undesirable. You may recognize this curve with guns and butter. The more guns a country makes, the less butter it can produce. In the same way that countries have a max output, individually, we are humans that have only so many hours in our day. We can graph this with EU4 on the y-axis and becoming attractive on the x-axis. As you spend more time on EU4, you spend less time on becoming a more attractive person. It's well documented the sheer amount of time it takes a player to pass the tutorial and finally start their first EU4 campaign. To even call yourself an EU4 player, you have to invest over 1,000 hours into the game. That puts the point on the curve of an EU4 player near the start of the x-axis, barely having any time to invest into attractiveness. And this is max efficiency. Most people are not efficient with their time, making them even less attractive. So EU4 players are repulsive to females and easily fit into that area of leftover supply. The economical proof does not lie. With that in mind, you might ask me how there are several videos of EU4 players who got their girlfriends to play the game. You might find yourself clever by pointing out how someone that unattracted to females gets a female. Of course, such a question is short-sighted and doesn't understand Occam's razor. The women in these videos are simply paid to play the part of the girlfriend. Economics does not lie. And thus, ladies and gents, the age-old mystery now finally has a solid explanation. Thanks for watching. May demand rise in the future so those poor EU4 players need not be single forever.